Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This video will be in a way continuation of my interview that I had yesterday with Santos Bonacci. However, I will be presenting to you some topics that are actually going a little bit deeper into what we have been discussing, because I have not really received some answers to my urging questions yesterday. Some of which were answered, some of them were not. But I want to start with what was my intention yesterday. A lot of you are aware that the world that we are seeing or we think we understand, it's merely a fraction of what really is. The perception that we have of things is also very limited, and that depends on many things. How much brainwashed we have been, how our education was, the influence of our environment and surroundings, and many other things. So I want to start with the video that was my first question yesterday about, can you actually, and it looks like this is what's happening, can you actually return into a body that looks very much similar to the body that you used to have? You will see it in a moment if you don't know what I'm talking about. In a way, like your soul is kind of trapped in some form of cycle. So let's take a look at this video, and then I will explain what I really wanted to know yesterday.
In this industry, what you must understand is, when you do sell your soul, you are allowed to live forever. And these people that are called youngins, like I was, had no idea that these people still live. They will prey, haunt, kidnap, anything to stay on top. This is their world. They have nothing but time, is what they believe. The art of exchanging spirits, trading spirits.
And then when they do die, they can move their consciousness from their decaying body, from their dead body, to a new clone of themselves. They can basically they can harness and control and transport the informational bundle that is a soul from one piece of hardware to another, or wetware to another. They know how to do this, and this is why, like, in all the human myths about Apollo and Aphrodite and whatever, Zeus himself, these gods seem like they live forever. They always look the same, and whereas humans are, being born and dying generation after generation, these Nordics these gods always look the same, because first of all, their lifespans are thousands of our years per body, and then also they can move their consciousness into clones of themselves. So yeah, it's exactly as you describe it. It was done a very long time ago, and these are the people who manage us
in this industry, which
All right, so let me address this. Some of you think that this is absolutely insane and this is impossible, but let's just approach it with an open mind. We know that they are doing crazy things, and I will play a video with one of those rabbis from Chabad, Lubavitch, okay, in a moment. I played it before, but it's a good reminder, and actually it really connects well with this story. Don't you think that the similarities in how those people look like, and I'm not saying all of them could be the case, but a lot of those people look almost exactly the same, and they have lived 100 years ago, 200, some of them, many hundreds years ago. There is something to it, and actually, if this is the case, that they sign some form of contract, and that contract obligates them in a way to return over and over and over again and be in certain positions of power and influence, they are trapped in it, don't you think? I would like to know what you think, guys, because the similarities are absolutely striking. And I know a lot of people think, no, this is just crazy stuff. I don't think it is crazy stuff. I think they are doing absolutely the most demonic rituals, and a lot of it, in my opinion, could be true. So let's take a listen to this guy. Let's go back to the story to Brooklyn, New York, the headquarters of Chabad Lubavitch, in which several years ago, many of you know the story, the men who have been there underground in the tunnels underneath the headquarters of that building, have been seen coming out from the underground. Some people were saying like rats. And when police went there, they found some strange things like mattresses covered with blood, etc., etc. So some very, very weird activities have been going on there. And of course, the subject kind of was swept under the rug. They finished the story because, it's New York and it's Chabad Lubavitch and you know who they are, right? Anyway, so there was this interview with one of those guys who gathered there. I don't know if he was there in that moment when police, went there. Anyway, he was asked about what they were doing there, right, in those tunnels. So I've played this before, but I want to play it again in the context of how they are summoning the spirits and the energy and literally placing it in a body. So let's take a listen to this creep.
Too long. There was one more viral image going around, and this is the one everyone's been talking about. Is this, Dirk just pulled up on screen, stained mattress that was pulled out of the tunnel being carried by members of the synagogue. So there's a lot of crazy conspiracy theories. I don't want to go down any tasteless rabbit holes. But David, if you could explain, why was there a mattress in the tunnels and what is the stain? A lot of folks are wondering, is this stain feces?
No, it's not feces.
What
The
is
stain is blood, and basically we did rituals. I said that before. There were some rituals that we do in the tunnels, and sometimes the rituals might involve someone who recently died, and we'll bring them down there, and we're trying to do a ritual to bring back the Messiah, which is a Schneerson. If you heard about him on the news, so he died many years ago, but we have rituals that we believe we can bring him back, and so.
So how do these rituals
Was that
work?
the main guy who was sort of instructing on the tunnels?
Well, that was a long time. He's like the head. He's the head rabbi, and he's the guy that we look for direction.
Right, and the news was saying that he is potentially not passed on.
Right, that's right. So we don't know that. So we try to do rituals to try
to bring him back.
Correct, exactly.
So how do these? Can you explain the rituals and why does it involve a mattress?
I don't want to go to the details of the rituals, but basically we don't put the body on the floor. We put the body on the mattress, and sometimes we might make an incision somewhere on the body, and a little bit of blood will come out. But I don't want to go into the details.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, you mentioned when we talked on the phone that you brought a book with you.
Yes.
Is this?
Yes, this is.
Okay, I will attach the link to my own video with this down below in the description box. But why I brought this up again? Because he is not talking about resurrecting Rebbe Schneerson from the dead. So let's say you have the flesh of that Rebbe Schneerson that, everyone goes to visit his grave, including Trump, and has his portrait presented on the stage, including Putin doing that. This is not about resurrecting. So this is about using someone else's body and doing some form of rituals to bring his spirit back in a different flesh, right? So I want to know, guys, what you think about it, because that was my question yesterday. I really wanted to know. To me, it looks like this is what is taking place. This is what's happening. That's why they're always here in certain roles. So when does this cycle end? What would it take for that soul not to return? I mean, I don't even know if it's a soul, the spirit, or some form of entity, not to return into that body. Of course, we can look into it as some shape-shifting, because clearly a lot of people that we see, they are not human beings. And if you still don't believe in it, I think it's just a matter of time when you will be seeing through, because the veil is absolutely has lifted already, but you will be getting so more active with your abilities, not just your clairvoyance and telepathy. Sorry for my accent, but telepathy, we say telepathia, is something that we are born with, and they train us out of it, because we can literally communicate telepathically with everything. Not just with mother with a child that can feel a child from hundreds of kilometers away or miles away, but we can communicate with animals, with nature. I am absolutely certain about it. So what I'm saying is that you will be able to activate your senses or release your true potential. And I agree with this with Santos. And in that lies our true power, because we not only will be able to see through, we can already sense a lot of things. And we know what is true, what is lie, a lot of times, I think more often nowadays. Anyway, let me show you now another video. In this video, you're gonna see Putin and Medvedev again in the same form of cycle of returning. And I don't believe in coincidences. So I'm going to play this for you without the sound, because this content creator, you know, they put this dramatic music at the background, but pretty much this is the information, so written information and images. So let's go there, because I never talked about this before on my channel, but I really want to address it, guys. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. So let's see where I have this right here. Okay. You know, Putin, this is Dmitry Medvedev. For some time, Medvedev was the president of Russia, very briefly. But let's look at this video, and I will be stopping often. So this is just, you know, the introduction here. Who is this? Romanov Nicholas II. This is the last emperor of Russia. Many of you know. Now, I stop because, you know, you will say, no, this is just a coincidence, right? Okay, let's continue. Striking, absolutely striking similarities, but you might say, you know, it's just similar looking. But he's not the only one who is almost exactly looking. We will have two more people. Now, who is this? This is the Minister of Defense of Russia. Belousov, I think it's his name. And who is this guy? Alexander Vasilyev, Suvorov. Striking. Now, coat of arms of Russia and House of the Romanovs and the Holy Roman Empire, almost the same. Franz II, the emperor. Holy Roman Emperor. I don't know, guys. It's very strange, right? Very, very strange, but the similarities are definitely there. So that is my question. Now, let's go to another thing that I was addressing yesterday. Here is this. I really wanted to know. So let's break it down. Here is the public, okay? So the masses, the citizens of the Earth plane. Right here, where's the TV set? Right above them, you have the actors, singers, sports stars, and media. Then above them, you have the world leaders who, you see, like the strings are going there. They are the puppets. And they are below the royal family, Zionists, and Freemasons. You can see it, right? And above this line, you have Rothschilds. So you have, you know, those 13 families, Vatican, and Rockefeller. It's just those two names, but there is more than that. We know that. And my question was, who is here? I mean, we can say Satan, right? But who is it really? Who is above Vatican? That's what I really wanted to know. What do you think? Let me see if I have another video to show you. Yeah, there is one more video. So before I play it, I want to say this. I feel like we are going through those cycles. Again, I was asking about this yesterday, you know, like Tartaria, the reset, right? Like Lemuria before, Atlantis before, you know, those civilizations, very, very evolved civilizations that were gone, so-called gone. And the resets took place this way or the other. And why Tartaria, it's actually very close to my heart, because not only I am drawn so much to the architecture and the buildings and the facades of those buildings that I believe were in Tartaria, because they hold certain energy. And I believe that everything we are learning at schools, as far as the history goes, pretty much everything is not true. It's absolutely fake history that we are learning. A lot of things are twisted, and a lot of facts are hidden. Because if they would be presented to humanity, humanity would realize how the same group of people, if they are returning over and over again, is running the show. I think. I mean, not people, but you know what I mean. Creatures, beings, you know, demonic energies. So let's take a look at this video. This will be about United States. So how old is really the United States? Because Tartaria was there as well, looks like. You know, and many of you know about this, but I think everything what we are witnessing right now is just such a distraction from the truth that we have to really come to our own senses and see through this BS. And the more we look at the news, the more we occupy, I think, our mind, space in our brain to allow those aha moments, those awakening moments to come true. Anyway, let's play this video. Let's take a look. Some history, this time about United States.
American history is a fucking joke. A cheap, glittering lie they force-fed us from the cradle. Heroic tales of brave explorers and noble founders. Grand adventures carved into our minds like scars we were taught to worship. Expeditions that never happened. Kings that held no throne. Victories they scream about in every classroom, completely made up to hide their barbaric crimes against humanity. And when you finally rip the blindfold off and tear the Stockholm Syndrome out of your veins, it'll illuminate your soul. The captors don't even bother hiding it anymore. They'll tell you anything they want, as long as you're sticking to the chemical schedule that's pulling the wool over your eyes. And you feel it, don't you? deep down, that gnawing wrongness in your spirit. Look at the cornerstones of these colossal buildings still towering over us. Monuments that weren't built by the story they sold us. They were found, discovered standing tall long after a savage mixture of cataclysm and invasion wiped the old world away. Raised in forbidden epochs, they viciously scrubbed from every history book, engineered with a terrifying precision and godlike scale that exposes our so-called modern achievements as clumsy, stumbling imitations. The dates carved in stone don't match their fairy tale. The rock itself screams the truth the textbooks tried to murder, and the devil isn't hiding in the details. He's laughing in plain sight, impersonating our entire culture, stealing our story, and wearing it like a grotesque mask. They told us we come from nothing. Huts, teepees, savage and empty to the core. And every time I hear that shit, it makes me laugh. Because these pathological liars will flip their own mother inside out, steal her soul, and repurpose her bones if it keeps their empires of lies standing. They loot and rape everything sacred. They twist the living genius into dead myths. They gut cathedrals and turn them into prisons for the human spirit. And then they stare at us with those empty, heartless eyes and expect us to love our own enslavement. And some really do. But this is far from the truth of where we actually came from. Our ancestors lived in a depth most people today can barely imagine. Their days carried real meaning. Their way of life had purpose that reaches way beyond what our modern minds can grasp. Everything they did flowed in harmony with something greater, with the divine itself. It wasn't forced or complicated. It was truly natural. And none of this needs to be about race or pointing fingers at any one group. Everybody played a part. Everybody carries some guilt in how we all got here. And at the end of the day, in this holographic matrix we've all been pulled into, it's not about skin or borders anymore. It's simpler and deeper. It's spirit against those who have none. Those anchored in something eternal, versus those who move through the world completely hollow. So if a picture's worth 1,000 words, then here, I tried to map it out visually, so the heart can see it more clearly. Think about the sheer evil it would take to destroy an entire world, and then sit back and watch it burn. These beings were never like us. They were empty of the Creator's love, untouched by that divine spark, cold-blooded and strategic, the complete antithesis of original man. And a century-old cover-up can twist your mind so far from the truth. Fake fire stories, wartime veterans handing out the gift to gab, all of it sold to us, and so many still buy every word. And the cognitive dissonance runs deep, because deep down, you think your ancestors would never do such things. But these are the legions of the Cabbage Patch armies marching through the rubble and mud, sifting through the ruins, erasing every trace of those who survived. Anything that couldn't be reprogrammed was obliterated. Anything that still carried the breath of life, that still spoke with its own living voice, got stamped out with no mercy. And here we are, still pledging allegiance to these imposters, these illegal aliens on our own soil, the ones who now call us the foreigners in the land our people have always known. We pay taxes to their illusions. We hand over our money for health care that keeps us sick enough to stay dependent. We fund their fairy tale version of life, and somehow, we've been conditioned to love it. Just imagine a real culture still buried beneath our feet, layer after layer of what was stolen and hidden. The captors know more about who you truly are than you've ever been allowed to know about yourself. They've studied it, cataloged it, and weaponized it. And trying to explain this to another human, it's like that 10-minute brutal fight scene from the movie They Live. You'll be shoving the glasses into their hands, desperate for them to see the truth, while they swing at you with everything they've got. They'll fight you tooth and nail, bleeding, just to protect their masters, clinging desperately to that warm, brainwashed version of reality they've been given. Anything to avoid waking up. Anything but stepping into the role of a true warrior. We were never complacent by nature. That fire, that sovereign spirit lived in our blood from the beginning. But the synagogue of Satan understands trauma like no other. Master sorcerers who have learned to slice the soul into compartments, locking away pieces of you they never intend to release. Some say they keep us around for food, energetic livestock for beings who feed on loosh and suffering. Others believe it's purely about eternal enslavement, a livestock pen for the spirit. But me, I feel something darker. I believe they simply just hate us. They despise the spark we carry, the remnant of the Creator that still flickers in original man. They thrive on our misery, grow fat on our despair, and draw power from every tear and broken dream. Whether the reset came through mud, a flood, or a roaring phoenix event, the one chapter they always erase is the invasion and the murderous past of the indigenous man. That's the part they will never speak of. Colonizers have no conscience. Not then, not now. They move through the world like shadows without souls, and they do it with the eager help of the chemically imbalanced common man, the very people they've broken, medicated, and turned into willing foot soldiers for their own cage.
Great video, right? So few comments from me on that. I think one of the biggest lies that we have been programmed, we've been programmed to think, as this lie goes, that we are powerless. I don't even think we realize how powerful we are. And that's why they want to destroy us. Because those buildings you could find not just in the United States, not just in Russia, not just in Europe. There are many places in Europe. This was all around the world. In Cambodia and many other places. There are buildings that are so important because they are able to activate certain energy. And we were the receivers because we are the antennas. We literally are walking energy antennas and producers of this energy. I believe in this. That's why they are sucking the energy out of the human beings. We are like those little batteries. Well, actually not so little, right? Why do you think they are doing that? There is something very sacred, I believe, in our energy field. So, like he said in this video, the resets had been done in different way, but there is one formula that they keep on using over and over again. What is the easiest way to destroy those buildings? Beautiful architecture, the beauty of the interior design that literally brings up your energy, your frequency to much higher levels because it can be measured. You know that. You can be measured. Anything can be measured as an energy field. How high you vibrate. The higher you vibrate, the less chance, to almost zero chance, to come across certain experiences or people or negativity because you are not the vibrational match. So what is the easiest way to destroy those buildings that uplift you when you enter them? That beauty that uplifts you when you come across it, you acknowledge it, like they just recently did in Iran. You remember those incredible palaces that they destroyed with those rooms filled with absolutely breathtaking interior design. That is energy. It's beauty with the energy. What is the easiest way? War. Just another war. And then you create something that is lifeless, shallow, empty. So what happens to the human being who is passing nearby those cubes that have very sharp edges? There is no beautiful facade, no ornaments, boring paint. You feel nothing. Actually, you feel down. So this is the video for today, everyone. A lot of food for thought. I would like to know what you think. I know some of you probably don't believe in a lot of things. I'm aware of it, but all the geopolitical moves are barely a distraction of much, much bigger things that are taking place. And I think we, as a human species, those who are here, I believe a lot of you who are watching me are here to ascend, to rise above this, because this is not who we are. This reality of pain and suffering and misery, this is not who we are. So there were moments in history when people were able to plug into those energies and utilize it and create from there. It seems like there was an era of some form of maybe even liberation, right? Very beautiful, very creative, very artistic, high frequency time. I wonder, what will it take to return to that? That's all I have for you today. I will attach the links down below in the description box. And if you choose to support my work, the best way is to join me on Patreon. Thank you so much to all of you who support me there. Really, really appreciate it. Locals, or you can donate on PayPal, and follow me on Instagram if you have the account as well. I actually got myself the answer to the question I just asked. I think, what would it take? I think it starts with each one of us. This is our own journey. We have to go through this. When we liberate ourselves, then we are liberating others as well. I know it sounds very cliche, or, but it starts with us. Thank you for watching. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and leave the comments down below and let me know. Lots of love, and remember, we are the leading edge and we are saving humanity. And I see you in another video. Bye, everyone.